Hello there, Pash Sharma this side, bringing you the best chess games going all around the world. Do take time to like, comment, share, and subscribe to my channel. You can also support me financially on Patreon and PayPal because your support is my motivation, which keeps me going. So, coming back to chess, my favorite game from the final was the game between Yangyi and Wesley So. Yangyi representing Team China and Wesley So representing Team US were the finalists and were fighting for the good prize, the cup, the Online Nations Cup. So this game held a lot of significance because in the last round, Wesley So beat Yangyi with black pieces, and it was a comprehensive win for the Philippine American. So here Yu Yangyi was under pressure again and against Wesley So. So, so what does the Chinese come up with? He starts with d4. In the yesterday's game, he opened with e4, and Wesley So in the end got a very good position and converted it to a win. And here we see the Ragozin variation of the Nimzo Indian and queen b3. Well, normal moves are to play e3 or a3, try to force black to take this knight, or to play queen c2 to try to push for the e4 square, and position is quite playable. But queen b3 is also a respected line. It's a line taken well regards of. So c5 defending the bishop, d takes c, and now knight a6. That's a good move. So at the moment there is no bishop e3 thing because of bishop takes, and the position would be better for black in that case. And still knight a6 is developing this knight, but there were several difficulties that black faced in this position with regards to development, as we will see. I don't want to show all my cards. So okay, knight a6, this is a very good developing move, defends this bishop and also attacks this pawn at the very same time. C takes d5, knight takes d5, now putting more pressure on this knight. This knight is pinned, as you can see, and Yu Yangyi pushes his extra pawn c6. That's a good move, and queen a5 reinforcing this pin. So there is a threat to play knight takes knight, exploiting this spin. So bishop d2 reinforces more protection to this knight, and now b takes c6. g3 from Yu Yangyi, so trying to fianchetto to this bishop and develop through this side. Exchanges on c3 and bishop goes to e7. Bishop g2, both sides castle, and e5. So main idea is to play bishop f5 to take control of these squares, and also stopping either rook ab1 or rook fb1, and that would be better for black because rooks are very well placed when they are in the open files. So the position would have been better for white in that case, but bishop f5 would have stopped it. Now watch what Yu Yangyi does. He plays queen c2, stops this bishop f5 move. Very good move, and his idea was very good indeed. Queen c7 and now queen e4. So what he's trying to do is to play knight g5 in this position, and this will open up this diagonal to that black rook and to this pawn, this loose pawn on c6. And not to forget, knight and queen are barraging down at the e5 pawn as well. So what a fantastic centralization move this queen e4 is. f6 stops knight g5 and defends this pawn, and queen c4 check, king goes to h8, and bishop e3. So a good move in the regards to stop bishop c5 or knight c5 to take control of these squares, which is quite crucial in this position. And bishop e3 also opens up this file for one of these rooks who would try to come and control this file. And a very ugly move from Wesley So, to say the least, is knight b8, underdeveloping his piece and returning this piece back to its starting square. And these three pieces aren't look very good on the back rank at their starting squares, because at the end of, let's say, 17 moves, this is the 17th move that black played, so at the end of 17 moves your all pieces should be quite active, and in this case this knight b8 is somewhat very slow and it hinders black development and also the connection of this rooks. Noticing this rook is indirectly in this line of this bishop, which is quite deadly. So coming back here, rook fd1, this is a very good move. This is just occupying this open file. And bishop a6, queen comes to e6, so bishop develops but stopping knight d7, and there's a good compensation now. Bishop takes e2 for this pawn, rook d2 attacks this bishop, and bishop returns to a6. So although white has given up a pawn, but it has a fantastic combination, a compensation. These two pieces aren't in play. This knight cannot develop easily because queen and rook are controlling this d7 square. And with this pawn gone, it only makes the life easy for white in this position, because white has white doesn't have to care about this e2 pawn anymore, and white can just concentrate on putting a lot of pressure on black forces. And he starts with the move knight h4, immediately opening this diagonal to this rook. So again this knight is pressurized to stay on b8 to keep an eye on this square on c6, and again this is not possible because of rook takes, and things can turn very ugly very quickly indeed. And bishop returns to c8, and another underdeveloping move. This bishop going to c8 is a little bit paradoxical, but also a little bit baffling in the sense, because it again hindering the black development of the queenside pieces, and the rooks aren't connected either, so black doesn't have a good position. Yes, it stops this knight f5 move, it attacks the queen directly, so queen has to move, but the white has so much advantage. Although this position isn't lost yet, but in my opinion this position is strategically lost, and black doesn't have a good plan in this position to continue the game. But nevertheless, queen c4 being played, f5, just stopping this knight move by putting rook and bishop both at the control of the f5 square, and also bishop is attacking the knight, so knight goes back to f3. h6 stops knight g5, stops bishop g5, these kind of moves, especially knight g5, because that would have been nasty. Rook ad1, so both rooks are doubling, putting lot of pressure on this file. Already so much pressure on this square the rooks are controlling, and there isn't an easy way to developing these three pieces and connecting these rooks. So yeah, very tough time, and black in this position is already running very short of moves, doesn't have good sensible moves in this position. King h7, just putting king in onto a safe square. The queen is also controlling g8, and h4, so Yangyi starts to push his king side pawns and try to put a lot of pressure on the king side as well. So what his job would be basically here is to put all his forces concentrated on the king side, because the queen side is really undeveloped, and there isn't any easy way that these queen side pieces can come towards the king and try to defend the king. This is a very miserable position for Wesley So, to say the least. And here a simple move could have been a5, that could have been played by Wesley. The ideas of, let's say, h5, and with with the ideas of developing bishop or giving more space to this knight to come to c5 in a perfect world or in a perfect time. But this position could have been playable, but he was worried. Wesley So was worried about these e6 move. This e6 square was very much, you say, a soft point in the black's position. So he tries to play rook f6 in this position, and this is a very big mistake. Well, I wanted to show you another thing, that after a5, but let's say if white plays knight g5 in this position, h takes g5, h takes g5, and this position is holdable. Black can simply play knight a6 or bishop a6 for that matter, and this position would have been playable for black side, but because rook isn't attacked by this pawn. But after h4, Wesley playing rook f6, Yangyi jumps with his knight to g5, gives up the piece, and now this pawn is attacking, so white is gaining an extra tempi for sacrificing the piece. In my opinion, rook e6 would have been a better move, because this is defended by the bishop, and well, let's say he plays rook e6 in this position, which wasn't played by the way. Then either bishop f1, bishop h3 is a, or I should say bishop h3 or bishop f1. Both moves are playable in this position by the white side, and still it isn't too convincing that how can white be able to attack. Yes, there is queen h4, but this rook does a tremendous job of covering this g8 square, so king can come here, and if let's say bishop f1 would have been played, then bishop c4, then king can escape through f8 route, which could have been playable in this position. But what happens after h takes g5? Wesley So plays rook g6, which is a blunder. And why it is a blunder? It is a blunder because of Yangyi's next move, bishop d5, exploiting this pin and also keeping an eye on this square, preparing queen h4 check, and the things would be really decisive. Well, it is decisive already, but things would have turned ugly, and ugly really quick. And in this position, Wesley So should have compromised taking this pawn with his rook, but he plays f4, a complete blackout in my opinion, just underestimating white's threats, and bishop e4 pinning this rook and placing this rook into a nasty pin. This limits black even more, because this rook is basically paralyzed here on g6, and it doesn't matter whether white takes. He would simply play king g2 and try to bring this rook onto h1, and black will be in heaps of trouble. He goes for bishop takes g5. This was quite ambitious, but it isn't working. Rook d6, putting a lot of pressure, exploiting this pin. The rook cannot recapture it because this is pinned. Bishop f6, just covering this line, cutting the connection, I should say. And now king g2, preparing the simple rook h1, and that would be checkmate if Bishop blocks, you take the bishop. If this bishop blocks, then you take this one. So Wesley So tries one little thing, but it's all in vain. F3 check, king takes f3, bishop g4 check, king g2, bishop takes d1, and rook takes d1, and here Wesley So resigns the game. Well, rook h1 mate is threatened. If bishop blocks, you take the bishop, and that would be checkmate. That's a big threat, and there seems to be absolutely no defense. The rook is in a nasty pin. So, very tough loss for Wesley So, and a revenge done with by Yangyi, dishing him some great recipe, great opening change, and yup, I hope you like this one. I will be bringing you another game from the final round, which was between Fabiano Caruana and Wei Yi, and Fabi had to win that, and so did another rest of the two players, because the draw would see China winning the cup. Watch what happens in that game between Fabi and Wei Yi, and what happened in the rest of the two games. I hope you liked this video. Thanks for watching. Have a nice day. Cheers. Bye.